Good evening and welcome to the Melissa Cardinals Network. Thank you for joining us for this week's edition of the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. This is Trey Graham, joined as always by Melissa Cardinals head football coach Matt Nally. And Coach, the last couple years we came in here and it wasn't such a festive atmosphere after day one.
No, sir, it was
But you're smiling today.
Yeah. But I'm going to tell you something. You get put back into reality real quick. You know, when the game ended Friday night, I mean, I had so many people come to me and say, congratulations, awesome job. And I was doing these pressers and whatnot. And I walk up the hill and my wife gives me a big hug and congratulations. And there's my mom, you know, big hug, congratulations. And my grandfather shakes my hand and says, Matt, you need to go on a diet. So you get brought back to reality.
I understand. Okay. All right, here's all my notes for you. You won your season opener this week, 2023 season. Final score, Melissa 50, Argyle 14. You lost your season openers in 2021 and 2022.
Right.
You won your season opener in 2020. Remember the score?
I'm sorry.
You're reading my notes right here. Yes. 32-20 at Salina.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So 2 season openers, not so great.
Right.
Great start to this season. I'm going to throw out a bunch of stats for you. Here you go. Most points scored against Argyle since October of 2005.
That doesn't shock me, though. You know, I mean, just the program they have and everything about the mystique and everything about Argyle, that doesn't shock me.
And who did it on October 21, 2005?
You know, I know the answer to this. I think it's Salina.
50-0 back
50 to
then
nothing.
on that day. Yes, it's also the largest margin of a loss for them since that game.
Really? Oh, okay. Wow. Go us.
Go us. Okay. Most points scored by Melissa in a season opener since
Oh, I have no idea.
August 26, 2011.
Okay.
Defeated Community by a score of 51-13.
Dang right.
Third most points ever scored in a season opener. 50 this week, 51 against Community. In 2006, Melissa defeated Coram Deo Academy, which I don't think is going to be on your schedule anytime soon. The score was 56-6.
Oh, wow.
In 2006. So that took the all-time series record between Melissa and Argyle to 2-5.
Yes, sir. It makes me proud, though, that, maybe we're getting over a hump and kind of like Salina a few years ago, just kind of figuring it out and getting over and making it now a standard that's what we do.
So I went and had a little chat with Coach Rogers before the game. Like I talked to you and talked to Rogers. You talk to me more than he does, just so you know.
Yeah.
But we had a nice chat, and I welcomed him to the new house, and he talked about how beautiful it was. And I said, "Are you guys ready?" He says, "I have no idea." Well, 50-14 later, you guys played really well.
Yeah, the thing is we adopted a new practice schedule. I talked about it last week, and I think that really has helped us in regards to really concentrating on special teams and then just situational football we as coaches kind of get away from sometimes because we're so concentrated on scheme and things like that. But if you really think about it, situations are what the game is about. So, and not just that, I feel like that this practice schedule that we've adopted has really helped, because it just is what it is. The JV is mostly scout, and it's always been something.
All right, let's translate that for the non-football audience. One of the things that the teams do is they have their backup players pretend as if you're the opponent. So you run the Argyle offense, you run the Argyle defense, so that Melissa's schemes and plays can be practiced against what the opponent's going to do.
Right. So, and it's always been a huge deal for me. I just every single year when I go out to schools, I ask about their practice habits and their schedules and things like that, because the JV is so important to me. Because a lot of people don't understand that Coach Rule did a great job this week about every senior had to walk off the field. And you look at all the spots that every senior is going to have to fill. So it makes you think, like, wow, so we have to make sure that we are developing those kids. So, but this practice schedule does that as well. I mean, our JV gets more time than they've ever gotten, and it's something like I said. It's been important to me since I've become the head coach, and every year we have really done I think a really good job of adapting when it comes to that JV and making them better.
We said it on the show a week ago. I said it Friday night during the broadcast. Coach Rogers is a good man. He's a good man. He's a nice
Right.
guy.
Absolutely.
You called him a mentor.
Absolutely.
I'm sure you guys spoke after the game. What did he have to say?
He just said, "Good job."
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That is it. Good job. Which, I mean, and to defend him,
He doesn't need to be defended, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, I've been in those situations before too, and it's, what are you going to say? So he's a competitor, and yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? So I totally understand where he's coming from, and I get it.
In just a few minutes, we're going to meet our players of the week. On defense, Micah Finan, senior linebacker, 2 sacks and a block punt. Talk about Micah Finan.
Micah is somebody that it's weird because I taught all these kids in elementary school. So I remember when
they were shorter than you.
Yes.
Yes.
And I had Micah in the 5th grade. And make a long story short, you're just might have been the 4th and the 5th grade. I can't remember, but to make a long story short, it's just such an awesome opportunity to see him grow up. I know Nathan's one of your kids too. Just to watch Nathan grow up has been so fun. But Micah is the quarterback of our defense. The thing is that makes Micah so good is Micah's so intelligent. Our defense is complex in the regards that linebacker has to make so many calls and so many checks. So in the game on Friday night, Coach Hemsley, about midway through the first quarter, told Micah, if it's this formation, check this. If it's this formation, check that. And he really didn't call another defense. I mean, it was pretty much on Micah and what he saw. He was making those calls. So that's what makes Micah a really good football player is the fact that he is intelligent and he has a high football IQ. But at the end of the day, I mean, you saw him. He's a big, strong kid, and he's very physical. I mean, he is a prototypical linebacker. So obviously, I'm super proud of Micah and everything he's done. And like I said, he's the quarterback of our defense. He's the leader of our defense. So he's well deserving of that award.
Our offensive player of the game was senior running back Nate Adejokin, who ran the ball 31 times for 231 yards. The most rushing yards in a game for Melissa since who?
Okay. I don't know. I'm just going to start naming names. Christoph George.
Nope.
Jabray Young.
Nope.
Braden Smith.
Yes.
All right. I got it.
Braden Smith ran for 233 yards.
Oh, man.
Against Kennedale in the playoffs.
He did.
2020.
He had a great game that night. He really did have a great game.
So Nate ran it 31 times. Mm-hmm. Were you expecting to give him the ball that much?
Yeah. So my offensive staff had a great game plan going into it, and Argyle's defense is an exotic defense, so you don't know where the fitters are coming from. So they going into the game, and once again, when we do. Our spring evals and our spring reflections and whatnot, that's something that they did a great job of going and researching and studying. But yeah, the ball the game plan was to run the ball as much as possible. Did I think that Nathan was going to carry it 31 times? Yeah, I did. And he did a great job. I really thought he was going to carry it about 40 times, honestly, going into it. We were not going to throw the ball that much. But once again, that goes back to Trevor Ham doing a fantastic job of just managing the game because he had opportunities, within our offense with RPOs and pre-snap reads and things like that he could have done some things, but he did not. The greatest quote that a coach can hear from a quarterback is, hey, I'm just curious, you could have thrown X, Y, and Z. And he's like, wow, we're getting 5 yards a pop.
Actually 7.5 yards per carry.
I mean, that's the thing that you're just like, okay, you're right, So, but he did a great job. But no, Nate is he has turned into this vocal leader. And the thing, I'll always use Nate's story for the rest of my coaching career, and that is, when he came out of junior high, and I think I told this last week, he came out of junior high, and they're like, I don't know if he can really play running back. And as a freshman, he was our scout team running back, and he really did get abused by that defense. And golly, he got so good. And he is so callous now. But the thing that he did in the spring that I'm just so proud of him is he tried to perfect his craft. So he did everything he could to get better, get faster. A knock on him with recruiters was that he didn't have enough wiggle. And boy, I'll tell you what, Friday night,
I think we're going to show some plays here in a minute.
Friday night he had some wiggle, so he did a great job of perfecting his craft in the spring.
And our special teams player of the week, your kicker, Sham McGregor, 6 for 6 on PATs, and new guy to the team.
Yeah, the funny story about him is he shows up, and Coach Hemsley is just licking his chops. And he goes, I got myself a corner, because he's a good-looking kid, a very athletic kid. But he was like, I only kick. So, but coming in, he was a very accurate kicker. I know Van Alstyne hated to lose him. I had a conversation with Coach Miller, and Coach Miller just loved him over there. But he's adapted extremely well. I mean, he's a Melissa Cardinal.
And before we go to the break and then meet our players of the week, your time to just exhale.
Yes.
Season opener, stadium opener. You've done 150 interviews this week and last week. Looking back now, how do you feel?
It didn't really hit me until we had to be there at 5:30 this morning for practice. So it really didn't hit me until about 4:45 this morning. It was kind of like, I woke up, and I don't know if it was because we're not in school yet or whatever the case may be, but it finally pressed on me that it's over. We're in week 2. So
and you haven't even gone to school yet.
Yeah, I haven't even gone to school yet. So I'll say it like I said after the game. It was a speechless moment just because of this. Is I knew last week that our kids were ready. I knew last week that our kids had zero doubt. It's the first game. So, the one thing I told my wife, I said, Brother Graham is going to remind me of penalties. But the one thing about
there was a lot of them.
Yes, the first game is I expected penalties. I expected mental errors, schematic errors and things like that. And we had penalties.
Paul Wood was trying to have as much airtime as I was having that night, yes.
We had penalties, but man, when you watch the film and you broke it down, we did not have any schematical errors. And that's the thing that really fired me up the most was I was just like, we didn't have a misassignment. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. Now, Argyle made some great plays. That's going to happen with a great team like them. But that was the biggest fear in that first game is cramps, penalties, and mental errors. And for us to not have anyone cramp and for us to not have any mental errors was a huge step forward in the regards of the program.
The Cardinals had a huge victory in the season opener, 50-14 victory over Argyle. This is Trey Graham with Matt Nally. We're going to take a break in a moment. You'll get to meet our defensive player and offensive player and special teams player of the week. We do invite you and your family to join us at First Melissa on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com to find out more. We'll take a break and rejoin you from the dugout right after this. Welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network. We are at the dugout for the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. Joining me right now is our defensive player of the game from the victory over Argyle, senior linebacker Micah Finan. Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here.
Good to visit with you. You had a great game with 2 sacks and a blocked punt. And talk about the rivalry, talk about the expectation going into the game.
Well, as a team, our expectation is to be like the best, not excellent, not anything like that, just the best you could possibly be. So I think we showcased that during our game as we put 50 on them. We just went out there, played ball, and we played pretty well as a team.
And what were your keys or what was the defense focused on as part of the game plan?
We were really focused on the two quarterbacks that they had and the running back because he was a pretty shifty kid, and their quarterbacks, they could run the ball too. So we were just trying to hold down the inside, and the D-line did an excellent job, and the safeties and corners had our backs in the pass game.
As a senior now, you're expected to be a team leader.
Yes, sir.
What have you learned from the classes ahead of you, and what does it mean to be a leader on the team?
I think it's just important to not really like father, but just be there for the younger kids and not like be hard on them, but like constructive criticism, and just make sure that they are doing right and don't stray from a good path.
And who has been your mentor as a player over the years?
I'd say Dalton Whitwer and Jason Cave really helped me out a lot. I like being a linebacker because I follow in their footsteps.
What's your favorite class in school?
I'm a big history guy.
Okay. What kind?
American.
All right. And what do you want to do after Melissa High School?
I'm going to be a pilot.
Really?
Yes, sir.
In what way?
Commercial.
Okay. And why do you want to do that?
Well, my mom's a flight attendant, and I just love traveling.
Very good. And talk about the great new stadium.
It truly is a pleasure to be able to play in that stadium, because, as a kid, I would go to the Friday night games in our stadium, and that was always my dream. And to have something like this that we are able to play in, it's truly awesome.
Our defensive player of the game for the victory over Argyle has been senior linebacker Micah Finan. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
We'll take a break and come back and talk with another one of our players of the game right after this.
Argyle's going to go hurry up.
Quickly, first and goal from the 2. Give it to Kreckler going right, and he's going to be stopped for no gain.
That was Micah Finan on the tackle for loss. Micah Finan on the punt block. It looked like he took a long time to kick that ball. He took a long time, and if they take a long time to punt it, then the Cardinals are going to come blocking. That's exactly what Micah Finan did. Now the Cardinals will get excellent field position at the 27 of the Argyle Eagles.
Here we go, first down.
The Cardinals have 5 DBs in right now.
Here comes a 3rd down and 10 play. Pressure is on, and Gailey is going down.
Micah Finan on the sack. That's the second big sack. First by Grayson Donahoe, now by Micah Finan. The very, very talented duo at the inside linebacker spot. Now
2nd down, 8 coming for the Eagles. Pressure and a sack.
second sack of the day already for Micah Finan.
Welcome back to the Dugout, the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. We are honoring our players of the game for the season opening victory over Argyle. The offensive player of the game, senior running back Nate Atajokin, 31 carries, 231 yards, a touchdown on the ground, 7.5 yards a carry. Your best game as a Cardinal.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
How did it go so well?
I think it was preparation in the off season that really set it apart from the other years.
Okay, talk more about that.
Well, I think this is my hardest working off season that I've had, like, up to date. I did a lot of workouts a day. I took care of my body more. The team really got along. There was no cancers on the team, so I think this is the hardest we've ever worked in at least my years of high school.
31 carries. You carried it a lot. Did you expect to touch it that much?
I never do.
Okay, but you're happy to do so?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was your key and your preparation getting ready for the Argyle defense?
Obviously we watched a lot of film. They had the one backer that stayed in the middle, which is not hard to take care of. So it was really just stay patient because, rushing too much, my blocks are going to get set up and I'm just going to get tackled in the backfield. So I just stayed calm and had a really nice, I wasn't nervous before the game or anything. It was a really calm preparation. So.
And a jersey number change.
Yes,
Why'd
sir.
you go to number 3? You were 21 last year.
Well, when I really fell in love with the game of football in 6th grade, I wore number 3. So I wanted to kind of go back to that. Okay.
And for the people who don't play or haven't played, they say, who cares? But jersey numbers are important.
Yes, sir.
Why?
I mean, I don't know. It's just special. It's like a part of you. I wouldn't want to wear a number that I'm not familiar with.
And how's the recruiting process going?
It's been pretty good. I mean, obviously I've been talking a lot to Army and Navy and schools like Tulsa, which I I think a lot of schools are waiting for my first 3 games of the season if I'm going to get any more like looks in terms of recruiting. But
Have you already taken your SATs and ACTs?
yes, sir.
Good scores?
Yes, sir.
Good. What's your favorite class in school?
I kind of like English now. I don't know why. I hated it about a year ago, but
What changed?
I don't know. I think I'm starting to get good at it. So,
Okay. Is this literature or writing or what part?
like, I guess analysis of different like texts. Like, I can really decipher what things are trying to say.
Good. And I don't know if our audience knows, at First Melissa in our church home, you are a volunteer with our kids ministry.
Yes, sir.
Talk about why you do that.
I like serving God, and I think a good way to help kids get with God is to start early.
Very good. And your goals for the season?
My goals are 2,000 rushing yards and 20 touchdowns.
2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
Well, you're well on the way, 231 yards and a touchdown on the ground. We'll take a break, and we're going to watch a few highlights from Nate's big performance against Argyle, our offensive player of the game, Nate Adejokin. We'll be back and talk with our special teams player of the week right after this. He has trips to the right and hands the ball off. A big hole for Nate Adejokin at the 20, 25, 30. Makes a move out past the 35-yard line. First down, Cardinals. Third down, 7. 2 receivers left, 1 right. And they're going to give it to Adejokin, who makes a cut in the hole and pushes and drags the pile all the way down to the 12-yard line. First down, Cardinals. And quickly to the line of scrimmage on 2nd down and 6. And they'll give it to Nate Adejokin, who's going to have a first down and more. Makes a nice cut inside the 20-yard line, pushes the pile all the way down to the 18-yard line. First down, Cardinals. Getting set up as we approach 30 seconds to go. Here comes 2nd down and 3 from the 10. And they're going to give it to Adejokin again. Makes a man miss, makes another man miss. Touchdown, Cardinals. Touchdown, Nate Adejokin. They call the defense. Welcome back to the Melissa Cardinals Network, our Cardinal Scoreboard show. We broadcast every Monday night at the Dugout Sports Grill. You met our defensive player of the game, Micah Finan, our offensive player of the game, Nate Adejokin, and now our special teams player of the game. And he is brand new to Melissa. His name is Sham McGregor, and he is our kicker who went 6 for 6 on PATs. Well done.
Thank you.
Tell us about joining a new team and moving to a new school.
So far, it's been a good experience, and I like the atmosphere, and it's a whole lot better. That's for sure.
You moved all the way from Van
All
Alstyne.
the way.
Okay. How's the atmosphere different?
I just feel like football. Football-wise is good. The whole town will come together as one.
Okay.
Friday nights.
And it's pretty nice new stadium, huh?
It's pretty nice.
Talk about it.
I don't know. The first night walking out, there wasn't too many people. When I go back inside, come back out, top row's filled, bottom's filled. It's crazy.
Had you played varsity football before this Friday?
Yes, sir. I was varsity at Van Alstyne.
Okay. And when did you find out you would be the PAT guy for Coach Nally?
So actually, we had paperwork that didn't go through right,
Okay.
and so we found out a couple hours before the game.
That you were eligible?
Yeah.
Okay. No reason to rush those things.
No.
Okay. All right. So Coach Nally came to you and said, all good, get
All
ready?
good. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, tell me why kickers have to wear funky-looking shoes. Because you all do it.
Well,
You have to glow in the dark, your shoes. Why
Well,
do
my-
kickers do
my
that?
favorite quote is, "If you look good, you play good." So.
Okay. All right.
But I had other cleats, and my foot went through the hole, went through the.
You broke
front
your
foot,
shoe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had to get those out.
So were you planning to have the flashy shoes or not?
I wanted to, but I was told no flashy colors. But I talked to Nally, and he said if I do good, I can wear them.
So if you go 6 for 6, you can
Yeah.
wear flashy shoes.
Yeah.
All right. That's a little motivation.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I gotta get new cleats.
Okay.
My mom didn't.
There's some people over here that might need to go shopping.
Yeah, she didn't approve of it too much.
Okay. But 6 for 6 is pretty
Yeah.
good. All right. What's your favorite class in school?
I like history.
Like Micah Finan did?
Yeah.
Okay. You're copying his answers?
A little, maybe.
Okay. Have you watched our show before?
I watched a little bit this morning.
Before today, have you
Yeah.
ever watched it?
No, sir.
Okay, very good. And have you ever been at the dugout before?
No, sir.
All right, pretty nice.
It's pretty nice, yeah.
And what are your goals for the season?
My goals for this season is to go perfect from PET and make one from past 40.
Okay. If Coach Nally comes to you and says, what's your range on a field goal, what's the answer? Your real answer. Not a kicker answer, but a real answer.
I would say 45.
45.
45 and in.
Very good. And talk about the big win over Argyle.
It was good. It felt good. Came out and shocked some people, but I mean, one thing he told us, he said that we'll have a target on us, but we just turn around and put the target back on them, go and execute, and that's what we did. So,
congratulations on being our special teams player of the
Thank you.
game.
Thank you.
Sham McGregor, we're going to show you a couple of his highlights right after this. Set up in the regular PAT formation. And Sham McGregor, the lefty, on the Carson Maynard hold. Snap is back. The kick is up, and it is good. Cardinals lead the Eagles 22-7. Here comes the lefty, Sham McGregor, for the PAT. No swinging gait. There's the snap, and the kick is up, and it is good. Cardinals lead 29-7. Years ago, Argyle won the season opener a year ago, and Melissa's paying them back tonight. And the PAT is up and good by McGregor. Cardinals lead 36-7. Welcome back to the Cardinal Scoreboard Show. We join you every Monday night, 5:30 p.m. at the Dugout Sports Grill here at the Z-Plex. This is Trey Graham with Matt Nally. You just met our Defensive Player of the Week, Micah Finan, our Offensive Player of the Week, Nate Adejokin, and our kicker, Sham McGregor. All right, Coach, I have to ask the question. Everybody's ready to go. There's thousands of people in the stands. There's cars everywhere. You finally get out on the field, and you can't play football because what's going on at the very beginning?
Okay, it was so odd because, the officials come over and they're kind of in a panic. So it's the first game, and so when you buy headsets, the biggest deal is frequency. And glass can be an issue when it comes to frequency. So their headsets didn't work. That is what was going on. So we have an extra set just in case something happened to ours. So
Do you bring your own? Everybody brings their own to the game.
Yes, sir.
So this
Yes,
is
sir.
their own equipment.
Their own equipment, yes, sir. So we were going to allow them to use our backup set, and just like that, it just started working.
Funny how that is.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. Because you know what some people thought the problem was?
No.
That Mr. Wharton and the band were a little too vociferous.
Yeah. No, there was a moment in the game where the officiating crew did have to go tell our band, I guess, to turn it down a little bit or whatever the case may be. And there's a UIL rule about that, but it's about...
So what is the rule officially?
It's when they're huddled, you cannot play. Once they break the huddle, you
Really?
can play. Well, the thing...
So when they're at the line of scrimmage,
you can play.
you can play.
Mhm.
And if for a team that never huddles, it means you
Right.
never get to play? Or you
Right.
always get to play?
You always get to play. So that was my big, gripe and complaint. Like, hey, they're not huddling. And besides that, it's a bunch of kids. Let kids be kids and have a good time. And those kids are up there sweating and they're hot and they're playing and they want to be a part of the football game. Allow them to be a part of the football game. I didn't say anything about Argyle's band, and their band is amazing, just like ours. So, but it is what it is. But it is a UIL rule that you cannot play while they're huddling. And I don't know if you remember, but in the sock game it happened.
Oh, yeah.
And then I can't remember. It was in the playoffs maybe a year or two ago. La Vega had an issue with it, and then Argyle had an issue with it that year or two. But at the end of the day, I hope our band plays as loud as they can play and the kids have fun.
Well, it's time to talk about this Friday. Going on the road, long road trip, China Spring Cougars. The all-time series between the two teams is 1-1.
Okay.
And China Spring is the two-time defending state champions in Class 4A Division I. They've won 3 titles overall, 2 in a row. They won a football state championship over Bernie in December of 2022.
Okay.
And then they won a baseball state championship 6 months later
Oh wow, I did not know that.
over Liberty Ilo.
I did not know that.
Their 5th overall baseball state championship.
I had no idea.
So you get 2 rings in 6 months.
That's pretty sweet.
That's pretty nice.
That's a pretty cool thing.
China Spring Cougars, a rare matchup between 2 number 1 ranked teams in the
Right.
state.
Right.
Class 5A Division II, the Melissa Cardinals. Class 4A Division I, the China Spring Cougars. This is a big deal. It's such a big deal that the media people are calling me to ask about this game. I guess your phone's busy, right? But they're today, people calling me to ask about this game. So, 2 number 1 ranked teams. And it's back to the question of last week. You don't believe in the cupcake theory of scheduling.
No, sir. I mean, I scheduled Denton Ryan for my freshman in my JV. I just don't think that growth happens in soft situations. I think growth happens in uncomfortable situations. And so I'm always going to play, difficult people. Like I said last week, the situation that we're in, it's really hard to find.
Well, actually, you said that off the air, so we need to do
sorry.
this on the air. Talk about scheduling, because we've done this over the years, and we remind people that your district games are required. They're set
Correct.
by the UIL. You don't have a choice. 2-year agreement, home
Right.
and home.
Right.
Non-district games, the schools, meaning the head
Right.
coaches, have to agree with each other.
Correct.
So what I'm going to say, because Matt won't say it, is a lot of people don't want to play you.
Yes, sir.
So it's hard to get games.
Correct.
Pick it up from there.
So, when you go into it, so like right now, we're trying to find games for next season, the next 2 years, the next realignment. And right now, I have 1 game that someone has said, yes, we'll play you.
But people say yes and then back out, as
so,
you well know.
Correct. We've had that a few times. Someone says, yeah, we'll play you, and then realignment happens, and then they drop you. I've also been dropped. I played a team 1 year, and then the next year they're like, I'm not playing you again. We'd rather play 9 games than play you guys. So so they dropped us. So I'm always going to be about playing 10 games. And I think I might have said this before, but there's been a time that I've scheduled Austin Westlake. I have scheduled.
It didn't happen.
Yes, it didn't happen. I had scheduled Denton Ryan. I had scheduled Denton Geyer. I had scheduled Manor. Yeah, a lot of these really good programs, and they all kind of fizzled out. So, but at the end of the day, it was because I wanted those kids to play 10 games. And I'm not going to do like a few years ago. Salina, I think, only got 8 games in or something like that because no one would play them. I'm not going to do that. A, and then B, I go back to my theory like, I'm just going to play really good people. I think it's fun. I think it's enjoyable. I don't like to play somebody that's, is struggling or having a bad year or whatever the case may be. And, that might sound crazy or whatever, but.
So let me explain a little bit more. The UIL sets your district schedule. Your non-district schedule is an agreement between the 2 teams. And if you end up playing at everybody else's homecoming, you know that they're really happy to have you, okay? The opposite is true. If they don't want to play you, it's tough to get a game.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons we're driving all the way to Waco.
Right. We were going to drive all the way to Louisiana. For this game, excuse me.
I think Mr. Murphy's travel budget just appreciated that you're not going to Louisiana.
So we were going to go play a team in Louisiana last year, and then they were going to come to us this year. But, yeah, we were going to play a team out of Louisiana.
One more thing before I forget. You're allowed 11 weeks in the season. You're allowed to play 10 games. That's why Melissa has a bye week. So you're allowed to play a max of 10 games.
Correct. Yes, and besides that, like, you have to negotiate. So those games that are preseason games, you have to negotiate home and away because you want to have 5 home games. That's what you're trying to do. Now, I was the loser last year, but I wanted to play 6 games this year.
4 home games a year ago, 6 home games this year.
I wanted to play 6 so bad this year. So, but the next realignment, it's you're going to have to try to play 5 and 5, and it's so hard because you're negotiating because they want 5 home games as well. And then you negotiate all these other things in the regards of like China Springs is far away, so our sub-varsities aren't going to play. So then you have to like formulate a plan like, okay, I cannot allow my sub-varsities to not play. So then you are finding them game. And then besides that, finding sub-varsity games is probably the hardest thing to do as a coach, because in your district, you have those, but grades come out, kids get injured and things like that, so they might drop a team or whatever the case may be. In the preseason, realistically, maybe the first 2 games are solid concrete, but after that, man, it's nonstop. You're trying to just juggle it and figure it out.
So now you get a little sense of all those war stories Kenny Deal and Dave Phillips talk
Right,
about.
absolutely.
Trying to schedule middle school games when Melissa
Right.
did not have a high school.
Absolutely. It's the most difficult thing, and not just that, but you're negotiating a time. So, like, I'll give you an example. We were going to play Argyle last week at 5. Well, it was the heat, so we're going to move it back to 6. And then, administrators get involved and things like that. And then it changes again, and you're just in this whole massive thing, whereas Friday Night Football, 7:30. 99% of the time it's a 7:30 kickoff. So, but sub-varsities are difficult to schedule, but the varsity is so hard to schedule preseason games because of the fact of you're like, okay, good, I'm going to hit these people up. They're going to play, yada, 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 and then they say no. Okay, no big deal. I'm going to hit these guys up. They're going to play, and then they say no. And then it's just a domino effect, and then you end up, having to travel to China Springs and play them.
The snapshot day is what they call it for the UIL, that in October all the schools in Texas will turn in their enrollment, their attendance for that day. UIL takes that, does all their magic formulas, and the new districts are released in February of next year. And it's always a 2-year assignment to a district, and this is year 2 of that cycle. So in February we'll be talking about who the Melissa Cardinals district mates will be at that time, and at that point you know who your district games are, and you know how many district games you have.
Right.
But then you have to go figure out how many non-district games,
Right.
and that whole matchmaking thing that you're talking about starts over.
Right. And it's a year process. So like we started this last spring trying to figure this out, and like I said, I've only have one game. So and there's a lot of people that will say, yeah, I'll play you week 5, knowing that you're probably going to be in a 7-8 team district, and that game never happens. So it's extremely difficult.
All right, let's talk about the China Spring Cougars. 2-time defending state champs.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the road to go see them. What should the fans expect?
With a China Spring football team, they're going to be very simple, but they're going to be extremely physical. And the thing about it, and this is what every coach wants, but the resonating thing about China Springs is their kids just play really hard. So you're going to see a very physical, but a team that plays with a lot of heart and passion. And that's what you have to respect a team like that. So it doesn't matter who walks out. If there's a bunch of Matt Nallys and Trey Grahams walk out there, but they're playing the hardest that they can play, it's tough to beat that. So when you watch them on film, that's what you see. You see a lot of heart and passion, and a lot of excitement about being a China Spring Cougar.
And talk about the logistics of a long road trip.
So the thing is we go to a great school district, and we're extremely supported. So by parents and administration. So you have to plan it out, and so
over a 3-hour drive.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is get the kids out right after lunch, and we'll come in and we'll do all of our last bit of film study with the kids, do our special team call-outs and all those things, and then we'll feed the kids, and then we'll get on a bus and drive there for 3 hours. So, but you're planning out the moment that they step back into the championship center, and that whole time is timed out. And to be honest with you, over the weekend, that is where I spend most of my time, is trying to figure all this out, because especially when you're going to an away game, you don't know how far the locker room is from the turf, which this week it's a 7-minute walk from where we're at to the turf. And then you're just all this logistics thing.
It's sort of a jet lag thing.
Yes. Yeah. So the thing that we do that I got from the University of Texas was we do a thing called pregame. So we get off the bus. We do it at Cardinal Stadium, or Coach Kenny Deal Stadium now. But we'll get off the bus. We'll put our stuff in, let the kids go to the restroom and things like that. And then we'll get on the turf and we'll do 15 to 20 minutes of. We do a dynamic stretch, but then we do like some group work and some individual work, just to give the kids a loose. I used to not do that. I used to just, hey, we get off the bus, let the kids go to the restroom, and let them kind of have their own little time for a little bit. But getting that from the University of Texas, gets the kids refocused on what they're supposed to do, but it also gets the kids out of that stagnant state, and I think that's a big deal too. Like, all right, my body's moving again, I'm getting going, and whatnot. So it's about a 15, 20 minute, and then we bring the kids back in, and then we go through our regular pregame.
The 1-0 Melissa Cardinals, the 1-0 China Spring Cougars this Friday, 7:30 kickoff. Make sure you're by the channel here on the Melissa Cardinals Network. A huge victory, season opener. Cardinals were victorious 50-14 over Argyle, and the road to state now goes through China Spring.
Right. Yes, sir.
The undefeated Cardinals and the undefeated Cougars this Friday, again, 7:30 kickoff. Make sure you're joining us on the Melissa Cardinals Network. We do invite you and your family to join us at First Melissa Sunday morning, 9 a.m. or 10:15 a.m. Go to firstmelissa.com, and make sure you join us next Monday night at the Dugout, 5:30 p.m. for dinner. And for every home game this year, the great folks at the Dugout are going to be giving away tickets. So make sure you join us next Monday night for dinner. Thank you to our players of the week, and thank you to Coach Matt Nally. This is Trey Graham saying good night from the Z-Plex.